Welcome everyone to Health Leaders. I am your host, Ben. I own a personal training facility here in Farmington, Connecticut, and I'm here with the great Tori. I don't want to butcher the last name.
You got it.
Murno?
Yeah.
Ha! I knew it. Tori Murno's here. Really super excited to have you. You came highly recommended from like 4 of our same clients, and I just was like, I gotta have you on, And I do appreciate the constant, food quality, good information that you're putting out to people, and I think that's huge. It's one of those things that I think it's really hard to navigate right now through, and I think we all blame social media, but I just think it's social. I mean, like, people are talking about health and wellness. They're talking about food. They're talking about exercise. So I think it's really easy to be misguided. Do you find that?
Oh, yeah,
with
definitely.
Yours? Yeah. So why don't you tell us a little about yourself? We'll do kind of a nice little intro just so, people can kind of see, what they're working with here. Yeah. And we'll go from there.
Awesome. Well, I became a dietitian in 2015. So I guess what kind of led me up to that was grew up as a dancer, really into wellness, eating right, obviously fitness, staying healthy. And my main goal of becoming a dietitian was to help people feel better, be more confident in their own skin. So went to school, became a registered dietitian, and have worked kind of in some different fields. So I started off in community health, which was traveling to different places in Connecticut and just kind of promoting general health and wellness. Then I spent probably 3 years working in a cardiac rehab center, which I really loved, helping clients or patients get back on their feet after getting heart surgery, which was really rewarding and fun to be a part of their journey during that time.
That's such a hard thing too. Like heart surgery is such a hard recovery. I've dealt with it a couple of times with clients that have had heart surgery, and that is they definitely need people like you there, because it is probably the most critical thing they're going to go through. I mean, I think, but
it stops.
Yeah. Your heart is out of your body. It's crazy. Yeah. So that's wild. That's wild. And then what happened? What did you do?
So, and now I work in substance abuse. I work at a treatment center here in Connecticut.
That's awesome.
Which is very rewarding. It's a fun and challenging population, but they keep me on their toes, which is great.
Yes.
And I've learned so much from the clients there and just working in that population. That's
huge too, because I find that I meet a lot of professionals, dietitians, nutritionists. I meet a lot of people that are really deeply involved in the health and wellness field, but then they also gravitate towards people with substance abuse problems and things like that. And I think it's just it's your ability to want to help. I think that's a huge thing. And what makes that hard, I think, is probably that some people you find don't want help, or they do, they just don't know how to accept it, or they think that it's like a weak thing, or they do that. That is extremely hard to deal with on a constant day-to-day. How do you deal with that? Like, how do you not take that home, I guess is my question.
Yeah. So I feel like no matter where you go in life, you're going to find people that are unmotivated or aren't ready to make change. So what I've learned early on is just to meet people where they are at. So if they can take one thing away from me, it doesn't have to be huge, that is still going to make them just a little bit more healthy. So I feel like recently I had a client who was drinking, I think, 2 coffees a day, like light and sweet, 4 energy drinks.
Oh, 4, like 4? Okay,
yeah,
4
a lot
a
of
day.
caffeine.
That's
so
all, huh?
I was like, what if we can just cut back just a little bit,
Smidge.
Yeah, so sometimes these more smaller changes are just finding the compromise. Like, obviously, being in this field, I always can maybe identify you can make 10 to 20 changes, but that's going to be really overwhelming. So finding where someone's willing to make the change or putting it on them and asking them, what do you want to work on? Where do you feel like you can make improvements? So it's not like me telling them, but they're self-discovering in themselves and they're picking something they actually want to do versus me telling them to make a change and they're not ready to do that change yet.
Yeah, it's too much too soon. Yeah, I find that approach works really well. It's tough too because you're constantly, once again, we're constantly being yelled at by so many people to do this thing and do that. But I find, and I'm glad that you're saying it, that you give people small challenges, especially when it comes to caffeine, it comes to getting more protein, it comes to whatever it is, so it's nice to know that there's people out there that aren't just throwing information out there and saying like, oh, this is what I do, you have to do what I do. And I feel like that way is slowly dying. You're slowly starting to see those people fall by the wayside. So it's important, especially with somebody with your background, to be able to really deal with people who really have an issue with that type of thing. And I just, it's a great thing to see. I really do, because I think there's too many people that get so confused. I need to cut this out. I need to cut this out. And you're going, hey, how about this? Let's scale this back a little bit. But we don't have to go these giant chunks out of your life. And I want to talk to you about the big one. And I need you to say yours first because I'll say mine after.
Yeah.
What is your poison with food? I mean, what's your thing that you do that you're like, I could probably do a little bit less? Because let's be real here. I got mine. If you want, I could tell you mine. You
I can tell you my secrets.
Yeah. What's the one that you're like, I definitely.
Yeah. So I love sweets. Same. Like that's why my little Instagram and my business is Sweet Teas Wellness.
I knew
love to bake. Love to eat treats.
Same.
So yeah, sometimes I eat a treat every single day.
Yeah.
Every night.
That's good.
It's routine.
But you usually know the value of those things. Okay, so we definitely need to dive into that. That's going to be a big one too, because I think we talked about this before. Mine's cheesecake. I super love cheesecake. It's like a problem. And I couldn't have picked a more caloric dense cake, right?
Yeah.
Like out of all the cakes that I picked,
so good.
It's so heavy too. I love it. It's just a chunk of just cheese and sugar. I love it. I know it's gross, but yeah. So,
do you have a favorite flavor?
I just
Cherry?
like plain. If it's if it's done well,
okay,
it could be plain. But I mean, if it's so. I mean, blueberry, cherry's good too. Strawberry just seems like it. It's just too basic. Come on now. What are we doing here?
Chocolate cheesecake. Yeah,
chocolate cheesecake. I had a mocha cheesecake the other day. That was insane. And I tried to hug the chef. Actually, I was like, I was being dead serious. I'm like, please tell them that I love them and I want to hug them. But we usually know in this field now, like I said, when we're getting into nutrition, like going out to eat, I try to keep it like once, twice a month, like that we go out. Just enjoy yourself, go out on a date, have some drinks, that type of thing. But what I also find is that like people do it too much. Once again, it's too much and they can't adequately like track their food.
Yeah. So
what I've noticed about your Instagram profile, but also the people that were telling me, like I said, like, hey, you gotta check her out, it was your ability to put in that you should track your food. You really should be mindful of your food. And you also should make sure your sweet treats and stuff like that you know what you're doing. You know what you're putting in. So how is that hard for you to kind of get across to your clients? Or do they accept it? Like, yeah.
So I have a very like mindful eating approach. So
Good.
We have mindful eating and intuitive eating.
Got it.
So mindful eating is you're in the moment, you're present, like you're fully aware. So I always tell clients like eliminate distractions. It's not fun to do this experiment. Like eat a snack, eat your lunch alone in a quiet space. So that's like you are going to be a lot more mindful versus we've all had the opportunity of like watching a movie, watching a game, and we eat a whole bag of chips or whatever is our, fun food.
All the time.
We refer to that as mindless eating because we're not fully aware in the moment. Intuitive eating is really being able to trust your body and to know what you need, honor your cravings, but also trust your body to not overeat or not undereat. So the hunger and fullness scale, it's a 1 to 10 scale. It helps people really identify their hunger level, which can guide or gauge their portions, but it also can help them to know if they are full. So when I work with a client, we always focus on habits first. I don't care if you're eating all organic. I don't care if you're, got the produce, you got the lean proteins. I love that. But I need to know if you're able to determine if you're hungry and when you're full, how much you're eating, are you emotionally eating? Really, you need to that's for me the basics. You have to trust yourself and your body.
It's huge.
Because then all these little details are going to be so much more important, and they're going to be so much more impactful, because you're not just saying, oh, I need to eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I need to eat this many grams of protein. And then you're not listening to your body. You're listening to a recommendation, which can be important. That can be helpful.
Yes.
But it's finding that happy medium of, I'm listening to my body. I'm also nourishing my body. And when you focus on these habits, you don't have to worry about dieting. Your weight is going to find its happy weight. So whether that's weight loss, weight gain, things will progress in the direction you're hoping, because you're actually honoring what your body really needs.
Yeah, I like that approach. I think it's in the middle. It's in the middle of what, at least what I've practiced for the past 12 years, because I have where we're trying to look for a desired outcome, right? Mm-hmm. So you have somebody that wants to lose weight. It could be for fitness. It could be for athletes, anything like that. It also could be just general wellness stuff. The tracking side of it, like tracking your food, which you could do, you don't have to, and that's another thing too. I've had people get obsessed with it, and it's gone the wrong way. It's gone bad.
Yeah.
And so then I go, well, then we're not doing this. And they go, and I go, just listen. If you would have started, just take it easy. You're holding your happiness hostage, with food. And food is supposed to be, you're supposed to enjoy it. You're supposed to enjoy it. You're supposed to like your recipes. It brings you together. I don't know about you, but cooking, if I cook with somebody, that's like a love language to me. It's part of it. My family, is a big family, and food is definitely not very mindful in my family. I'm the first of my kind, and that's okay. They know. So I'm trying to kind of help them out. Hey, we get together, we celebrate, we eat, we do those things. But with clients and stuff, it's it can go the wrong way with tracking your food. And at that point, it's you have to register that is a issue, and you need to move, either stop that, go see a professional, go do something like that. At least that's how I explain it to them. But I find that what I do mainly is between tracking my food for a desired outcome and just being more mindful when I'm out. What I order too. Mm-hmm. So with clients, how do you kind of approach, I think the big one is, how do you approach going out to eat? Because I like what you were saying about being mindful of being away from people, because it's so easy around an office just to grab a bunch of pizza, that they got you for lunch, or just suck down 2 more coffees with, with a ton of cream and sugar in them. I don't mean a little cream and sugar. I mean the ones from Dunkin' Donuts. We live in Dunkin' Donuts, heaven around here. How do you tell them, like I said, to navigate when they do go out to eat? Is it a similar type of approach?
Yeah. So either going out to eat or a holiday, typically I'll encourage clients to make their first meals more balanced, more nutrient dense. So if we're going to get in more lean protein choices, more fruits, veggies, get all the good stuff in.
Yeah.
You can treat going out to eat, I always tell them 2 different ways. If you want to go out and you want to have a good time and you just want to enjoy delicious food and not think about health, that's totally fine. That's part of a balanced diet, but we need to honor our fullness. So it's not going out for a pasta dish, eating the whole thing, having this, I call it the Last Supper effect.
Yeah.
I'm going to eat it all, and I'm going to be so good for the rest of the week and get back on track. No, you can go out, you can enjoy your fun food, but you need to listen to your body and not overeat. So that way you leave that meal feeling good, feeling confident. Or you can kind of pair, say, a good and a bad. So if you're going to order, I don't know, a chicken sandwich or a hamburger, instead of the French fries, maybe you do a side salad, a baked potato. So you're bringing in more nutrients.
I like that.
But
I like that approach.
The underlying approach is always listen to your body and try not to overeat. Hard.
Yeah, it's so hard. But you know what I like about that approach? It's one of those approaches where it was something that I think people have a hard time with, because they look at something like it's like, oh, they have cheesy tater tots, and you're like, bro, I mean, you're really going off the deep end. Like it's one of those things, like after a while, you kind of want to bring them back to that, like, hey, what are you trying to do right now? Like, do you really want that? And then if somebody sometimes really thinks, if they do, that's great. Go ahead, eat it. Seriously.
You're right.
Yeah, eat it. That's a great way. But I find that, like, if you really sit down and kind of think about it a lot of the times, and I have done this with when I go out to eat, and I went out with clients yesterday, and it was like, what are you ordering? It was like, oh, I'm going to order mainly like a protein source and something like that, just something kind of light, and had a drink. But I've also noticed like the impact that you have on them as well, where these are clients that we went out after a seminar, and it was like, oh, I ordered the burger, but I didn't have fries with it. And that's because his main goal is weight loss. He wanted to enjoy a burger, and it was good. It was a brisket burger, bacon, something, but then no fries. And then saw the same thing with the other person. It was like, oh, I ordered, what did he order? Or like a sandwich, same thing. And said, hey, can I get, I heard him. I was like, oh, this is great. You ever like when you see him change, you're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of you. And he was like, hey, can I just have extra protein on that? Because I didn't have a lot for lunch. I didn't have a ton of protein for lunch. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I freaking love you, man. So teaching those people good habits when they go out, but also not depriving yourself, because how is it with you? I don't know if you've had the same experience where you have a client restrict too much. What happens then? I mean, maybe you can kind of speak on that, because you get a lot of people that are like, why would you eat that? Like they catch, like, let's say if they saw me out or you out, and you're sitting there and you're eating, and you're like, I'm eating a burger, and they're like, why would you eat that?
Yeah.
How do we approach that type of thinking?
Yeah. So I would say two different things. So a lot of clients that I see like in my private practice actually come to me and they're under eating and they're frustrated because they're not seeing weight loss results. So it's still always weird to me when I'm like, eat more. And they're like, no way. And I'm like, yes, like, please just, your body needs more nutrients. And unfortunately, that's kind of what's taught in our society for weight loss. It's eat less, move more, and you'll see results. But that's not always the case. It's kind of finding this very fine line and making sure we're not putting our body in starvation mode where we're favoring weight gain versus, having that right amount, that small deficit, we actually can see weight loss happening safely.
Yeah.
So I tend to do the same thing, like baby steps. I'm not going to have someone coming to me that's maybe consuming 1,200 calories and now put them up to 2,000 because that's terrifying for anyone. So I'm like, where do you feel comfortable adding in an extra snack? Or how can we maybe add more substance to your veggies with chicken for lunch? Like, what can we bring in there that you feel comfortable doing? And as we do that for a few weeks, we're building that trust. The client can see like, okay, I'm eating more, but I'm not actually seeing weight gain, because that's the fear.
Yeah.
If I eat too much, I'm going to gain weight. But yes, but also too sometimes no.
Yeah.
So it's a very gentle, slow and steady approach, because I want to make sure the client feels safe and they're not feeling stressed, because obviously if we are stressed, that can also cause weight gain.
It's huge. It's huge, because you do see, when you see that they have that type of fear, and I think that's the benefit of working with people one-on-one, is like you can really listen to them instead of waiting for your chance to kind of to talk type of thing. And when you see that fear, and this drives me nuts, because losing weight is equally as difficult or stressful or vulnerable than gaining weight. So I have clients that that needed to gain weight, males, females, doesn't matter. It's equally as a tough challenge. And losing weight, it's equally as a tough challenge. But then you also have this thing where I used to call it like that soft body shenanigans type of thing, because they would go, I'm working out, I'm eating 1,200 calories, I'm not seeing the results I want. And they did this for years. Like, you'll see it. And they're like, my body's not changing. So I like to kind of focus it as, listen, what type of fuel are you putting in your, what are you putting in your gas tank? If I filled up if I fill up my tank a quarter of the way and I try driving across, the United States, you're not going to get very far.
Yeah.
So that's the type of mentality that it's like, fill your tank up so you can perform, so you can move with confidence, so you have energy, so you also can generate a competent body. And I think that is what we all want. And when you kind of cut the crap with everybody, like you really just go, listen, what do you want? Everybody wants a competent body. They want to feel sexy in their own skin. They want to feel confident. So that's why this is such a hard thing to talk about. And I think that food, because of the ways that it has been manipulated through diets and culture, and also I think, and this is how, in my experience, is that it's become almost this like religion food, right?
Yeah.
And it has a feel to it.
Yeah.
With like the keto people and the carnivore and the vegan and the balanced dieters, and like it's like it's almost like everybody's a gang and they want to fight each other.
Yeah.
It's so strange.
That's what I always kind of tell people. Like, I don't want to say hate, but find it uncomfortable when I'm in a situation. People know that I'm a dietitian and they're talking about like doing these diets, and like inside of me, like my blood's boiling, and I'm like, just don't say anything. And I'm like, okay.
Dude, that's so
but
funny.
it is true, because it's really hard to change someone's mind when they are doing a trendy diet. They're seeing the results. They're feeling good. They're coming to their neighbors, their peers, like, you have to do keto. I feel the best I ever felt in my whole entire life. And they're amping it up. And it's hard when clients come to me and they're like, this person's doing keto. I want to feel just like them. How do I do that? And I'm like, we have the wrong dietitian.
Yeah. Yes.
But, which it's fine if they're doing that, but it's just not something I believe in, because with these trendy diets, there's always going to be a starting and a stopping point. When people stop, they either failed, it's unsustainable, they got the desired outcome, but now what happens? Are they just going to revert back to their eating habits, and we're going to see weight cycling, which is so harmful for our overall health? And most people don't realize that if you have rapid weight loss, you're at risk for gaining that weight back 6 months to 5 years.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
Yeah. The faster I've found, and studies do suggest and support, the faster you actually lose body fat, or the faster you actually lose scale weight, actually it's not body fat, scale weight, the faster you do, the more likely you are to put that weight back on. And normally that's because of what you did was you made a nutritional change, not a behavioral change. So you usually, generally speaking, drastically cut something back, which is exactly what fad diets or those trendy diets do. Fad dieting or what's popular, we see it, and I've seen it for a really long time because I'm an old bird. I told you I'm 33. I'm old. I've been in it for a while. I remember when keto came back in and out. Now, I also have a confession about this, that I did a keto style diet, or a high fat diet, as I don't even like to say keto. I just say a high fat diet.
You just don't want to be trendy.
I don't want to be trendy. Yeah, I don't want to be trendy. Get the hell out of here.
I'm a little different.
Yeah, I'm so different. So I did that for about 2 years.
Wow.
And the reasons why I did it was I was having kind of like this brain fog all the time. And I also had my joints were super inflamed, and it could have been an easy fix of like not training 5 days a week, and like super complex movements, and really trying to like, up my game. And I obviously scaled that back, and now much, much better. But my joints were really inflamed. They kind of hurt. And it was like, oh, this is an anti-inflammatory diet. I actually did it for those purposes, that and cognitively, rather than the weight loss. And I mean, if I could speak on it from personal experience, keto or a high fat diet does not sustain good amounts of high performance athletics because of the lack of glucose that you're getting. You're not getting a ton. So in my experience, and listening to others on top of Dr. Augustino, who's like the head, like the guru guy, says pretty similar something. as far as with maybe health and longevity, we don't know yet. Like those things there's still good things to supporting with cancer, good things to supporting with longevity or anti-inflammatory. However, like I said, for me, finding out that it wasn't the best for performance, and some people are going to go, hey, just eat carbs right before you work out, or low, some berries or something. And it's like, okay, I want a diet that's going to where I can be on at all times, So I found, me personally, after probably like, I don't know, 2 years, you just go, I think balanced dieting is going to be where I'm going to go to. But that's what I wanted anyway, to be that, because I was always like, oh my God, it looks so good. I can't have it. I was so tired of saying that you can't have something.
Yeah.
And like I said, no shade on, and if you want to do something and that's your eating preference, let it be your eating preference. Keep doing you. That's awesome. If you're thriving, keep doing that. However, balanced dieting, I'm sorry, in my opinion, reigns supreme.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Same. And I think there's a few important points to point out. So I always encourage clients, you need to learn your body, and most people know their body better than anybody else. So some people might say, I actually do better with high protein, low carb meals. And that's amazing. That's great. And that can work. Some people find, especially more with females, we are going to be doing better with having a smaller amount of carbs with each meal to help with really balancing out our hormones, our glucose levels. And I mean, that could be true or false for some people listening, but it's really noticing, okay, if I eat this meal, how do I feel an hour or two after? If you feel good, that's amazing. And every day is going to be different.
Yeah, true. But I like that approach. Yeah. It's go by how you feel.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
It's kind of making these tweaks, because a lot of times we learn how to eat from just our home, what our families put on our plate, even to the classic, you're part of the clean plate club, eat everything on your plate.
That was my family.
Same, a lot of us.
Yeah,
high five.
Yeah.
It's so cool. But it's okay. It's okay to leave food behind. If we're listening to our bodies, we might not finish every bite. And that's okay.
Yeah, it's fine. It's just be okay with that. There's still food on your plate. To me, that's anxiety. But yeah, I get it. So for me, and how I slowly, because I used to do the 6 to 7 small meals a day.
Yeah.
So they would go 6 to 7 small meals a day. That's all you have to do to build muscle. And I would do it. But what I noticed is, one, gastrointestinal distress at being constantly eating food. And I just didn't like that feeling. So I ended up going with larger meals, and now that caters to 2 things from my childhood. 1, I can eat everything on the plate.
Yeah.
And then 2, larger portion sizes, because in my family, they didn't even look at portion sizes. It was how much pasta is that? Give him the whole box and split it with your brother. Yeah. Now that's 3 servings for him and 3 servings for me, which is roughly 140 or it's 140 grams of carbs, something crazy, and as I was a kid, I weighed nothing, or I ended up weighing a lot later. But the whole idea is that it resonated with me to have larger meals and also make sure I know what I was eating. And now I eat probably 3 meals and a snack. And it's that works for me. It's obviously worked for my weight. It hasn't fluctuated a crazy amount. If I want to pull something back, I know how to. If I want to add something, I know how to. So can we meal frequency?
Yeah.
Some of these types of I don't want to say myths, but
they can be
myths. I mean, because I get that a lot, with how many meals should I be eating? It's well, let's divide up that. If they're tracking, let's divide that up. If not, let's go with, I don't know if you do this. I do your hand portion, the size of your hand. Is this a protein size, 3 to 4 ounces is usually pretty good for, generally speaking, this person who's using it. I mean, my hand's a little bit bigger, but do you do that, or you don't usually do that?
Yeah, so I feel in the beginning, I was really big. They taught us the
palm of your hand. I do this.
Plate.
I'm doing like this. Yeah.
You're this is your protein.
This is my protein, yeah.
They have now created the My Plate method.
Yeah.
So it's basically the food pyramid got put into retirement. The
My Plate. As it should have been. Yeah.
It's kind of basically 1/4 of your plate is your protein. You have 1/4 is your carb. Fats are in the little, the center. So if you want to add some seasoning, dressing, that's great.
Yeah.
Then they show fruits and veggies half of your plate.
That's dope. Yeah.
So that's kind of where I go.
I like
with
that.
Clients. okay, we need 1/4 protein, carbs, fruit and veggies aren't common at every meal. Have one or the other, or bonus, you could have both, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
And then depending on someone's goal, maybe they want to lose weight and they're like, I have one plate. I'll also encourage them, okay, if you want seconds, maybe we do more protein because that's going to make us feel fuller longer. With carbs, they're always going to be more enticing. They're more pleasurable. So it's easier to eat more pasta, more rice, more potatoes.
Yeah, yeah.
Where like fish, chicken, maybe steak, you're really going back steak. Just for like, because you really need it. Well, at least in my opinion, like I can kind of take seconds. But
yeah.
Probably different from person to person.
It is different from person to person. Now, I'm going back for steak, I'll be honest. If there is like more proteins, heavily satiating.
Yeah.
And I just like it. Fruits are, of course, are amazing too. But I mean, dude, like if you know how to cook proteins, I think that's also what it is too. If you're not enjoying your proteins, maybe you gotta try to cook it better.
Check the internal temperature.
You gotta do that. Yeah, you gotta do that. Medium rare.
I just started liking steak, so this is cool.
Okay.
Probably 2 years ago.
How do you like it cooked then? If you say well done.
No, I like medium rare.
Medium rare. Medium rare.
Yeah.
Same.
But we got a grass-fed cow,
like
1/8 of a cow.
That's the way to do it.
So we had all these steak cuts, and I was like, "Oh, this is so healthy. I need to eat this."
Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. I've done that too.
Yeah.
We go. Where do we go through? I forgot what it's called. It's I'm gonna kick myself later for finding it. We get it all like sustainably farmed, grass-fed stuff, grass-finished. It's amazing, and you can have it shipped right to your house. It's
Butcher Box?
No, it's kind of like Butcher Box.
Yeah.
It's like Field something. I'm gonna tell you afterwards, but that does not help them out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna drop it in the comment. So having like more protein, like I said, especially after a really like large meal, that's what I do to try to stay more satiated. So I'm always kind of going back for that. Somebody like me, I can put on weight pretty easy because I can eat quite a bit, which is why my meals are larger. So the myth of eating 5-6 small meals a day, does it matter, or is it the calories at the end of the day, or just what you ate at the end of the day? Is that what matters?
So I'm going to say annoying answer. Varies person to person.
Yeah.
But definitely calories and what you're putting on your plate. So if we're having a lot of like simple sugars.
People hate you right now.
Yeah,
I know.
They do. I'm
like,
nothing's like.
Yeah.
Nutrition's very gray. That's like one thing I always tell clients. Like, there's never really easy answers. Like, even if someone comes to me and they're like, is an apple good or bad? Like, it's really more about what we're having, like the quantity. So yes, an apple's good, but if someone's only eating apples for their produce, 5 apples a day, it's we can do better. So
nutrient dense wise.
Right.
Okay. Yeah.
Right,
If we're talking nutrient density, yes, I agree with that. I think it's weird like when people are like, I only eat this. But I get it.
Yeah.
I get it.
Some people are like, I just call them like simple eaters. They can eat the same thing over and over again. And I'm like,
I cannot.
Me neither.
Yeah, I can't.
But part of that is more our instincts when we were hunting and like hunters and gatherers. So we're trained to crave a variety of nutrients to ensure we are getting everything we need. Because if we're thinking back when we were hunting and gathering, fruits and berries, like if I just ate blueberries for a whole week, I'm missing out on vital nutrients. So that was like my intuition of like, maybe I should walk around and look for something else.
Yeah.
And so the same thing, if we're eating more variety in our diet, food will be more satisfying, and that can decrease food cravings.
Yeah, that's a big one. Yeah, that's something that's fairly new to me. Maybe like 5 or 6 years ago, I kind of found out that like if you're craving something, if you're lacking in a nutrient and you have it, like you eat it, it tastes, it almost tastes different, you know? So you're like, oh wow, I must have really needed that. It's kind of like, so like when you go hiking or when you do like anything with endurance and you have water, like you're like, oh my God, this is the best water I've ever had. It's the same thing because you needed it. It's really simple. Coconut water. That's my other Achilles heel, is I love coconut water. And it's usually because I'll go long periods of time without like drinking water sometimes. Like I'm good with water, but I'm just mean like if there is like I'm training for like 4 or 5 hours and like I ran out and I'm just constantly back to back, I'll go kill, and coconut water is high in magnesium and potassium, and those are electrolytes, and those is what you need. So as soon as it hits my lips, I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing on the planet. But it's also 25 grams of carbs per one. So I got to be careful with those, because if I drank 4 of those, that's like most of my carbs for the day, even though I do love it. So calories as far, or meals, like I said, it doesn't really matter, because I like I said, larger portions depending on the person, smaller portions. It's not going to help you for weight loss in anything, right? Or wrong.
Right. So, well, I guess like 2 things. So there are some studies done that if we're eating more like smaller, frequent meals, breaking up our caloric intake throughout the day, we can decrease the risk of storing calories as body fat, because we're just metabolizing through them more quickly. Whereas if I'm having, I don't know, say 2,000 calories in just 3 meals per day, I might not need 800 calories. I'm not going to be burning through them in the morning. I have a desk job, like very chill, you know? So from some people's metabolism standpoint, 3 meals per day could favor weight gain. But again, like my approach is just going back to like what makes you feel your best self. And a lot of it too is trial and error. Like everyone is so different, and everyone's metabolism is going to be so different. Yeah. So it's really seeing like what makes us feel good. Like I know if I eat just 3 big meals per day, I'm more sensitive to low blood sugar. Yeah. Like I would be hangry a lot and not feel
Would you?
Yeah. I like after 4 hours, I'm like, I need food.
You're like, I'll kill you. And I'm like, oh, whoa.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Like I can eat something like very satiating, a big meal. Yeah. But like 4 or 5 hours, I'm like, if you don't feed me, I will kill you. I will die.
Yeah. I'm naturally aggressive. I'm naturally aggressive. So I think it's just coming, like my hangry just gets like, just kind of goes with like my personality type maybe that's what it is. Maybe I'm really just hangry. I don't know. No, I've done it like the five, and it's just for me, like I said, once again, it's hard. It's so hard. So eating those just, like I said, works for me. And I've had people, they're like, dude, I don't know how you eat 3 meals like that. Like I can't do it. But me personally, like I said, I mean, I am so used to those larger portions because as a kid, that's like what we ate, you know? Yeah. And then we'd go play outside for 4 or 5 hours and then come back and probably eat again. Yeah. So another one, which is eating after 7 p.m. This myth here, is this a myth, or is this is a thing? You know, is it a myth?
So I always tell people, why are you eating after 7 p.m.? If you're truly hungry,
I want popcorn.
If we're truly hungry, you need to eat. And the best way to know if you are hungry, because it kind of sounds weird, sometimes we don't know our bodies. A lot of times people in the afternoon or evenings are going to be eating more so emotional, or it's just part of their habit. Like we like to unwind and have a treat, and we're feeling all these emotions from our day, whether it's being bored, happy, sad, anxious, mad, tired, whatever, angry. So emotional eating at nighttime, that's going to happen. So we need to identify if you're truly hungry or not. So I have something called the apple test. If you're hungry enough to eat an apple, typically that's a true sign of hunger. Okay. You really want the cookies, the chips, the ice cream. Like we're always going to have room for our fun foods. And if you're like, I really don't want fruit, I don't want, I don't know, a yogurt, something like more healthy, and you're just looking for this fun food, you're looking for that maybe little pick-me-up, an increase in dopamine, endorphins. Like you're looking for more pleasure and reward versus eating because you're hungry.
I think you said something extremely valuable that I've heard it before, but it never the way that you just said it, like it within the way you organize those words. Maybe you're feeling a lot of emotions from the day, from what has happened. So I think some people, they think when you emotionally eat, that means you're thinking of something at that very moment that was emotional. And they're in the moment of that, maybe not even recognizing that they got yelled at by their boss today, and the guy's a jerk and he yelled at you for screwing something up. And now you get home and now you're there with your thoughts. That is why you went for ordering Chinese food at 7:30 or whatever. And, you know, you weren't really hungry. You already ate at 5:30, you know, with your, you know, just whatever. And that's a big one. Mm-hmm. I had not thought about it the way that you just said that. That's huge.
Well, and that's, I think too, like working in mental health, it's like, we're all about emotions and feelings, and most people don't want to feel bored, tired, or lonely. That's just like unpleasant emotions.
Yeah.
So instead of feeling these things, I can feel full, because that feels more comforting. We like to feel full. We don't like to feel bored.
Yeah.
So that's most of the time when people are eating at nighttime, it's typically emotional based. It's not like you said, it's not like in the moment of like, oh, I'm so sad, I need to eat this.
Yes.
Maybe sometimes, but for most people, it's like they're not aware they're experiencing an emotion. It's just, all right, got my show, got my jammies on, I'm on the couch, feeling good, Netflix. I need some chips to go along with this to make it better.
Yeah. I like the way that you explained it, because the answer is the time doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. It really doesn't.
I needed that.
Yeah. No. But the answer is the time doesn't matter. However, the reason why we started putting a time on it is because that's when most people are emotionally eating, are really taking that in, trying to process the day with hits of dopamine. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But then we're also doing this thing. It's a correlation. And that's when you read studies, correlation and causation. Like we start to kind of review those and unpack those things. That's a correlation, which is why the time got attacked, when really it was that people are emotionally eating. People are more apt to order food at night. And that's the correlation with, is it bad for me to eat this? Because I feel like it's bad. Somebody said it was bad.
Yeah.
No, however, it was bad that you didn't process the day, maybe a little bit more, not as well as you could have.
Right.
And you can kind of work on doing that. That was big.
Yeah.
That's really big. I really like that you said that. That's huge.
And I think just giving people that reminder, like it's okay to sit and be bored. Like we're so used to being stimulated with our phones, and it's like you scroll through every social media app and you're like, you go back and you're like, I already saw this, Yeah. A little different now with like TikToks and Reels, but like it's okay to be bored. It's okay to be lonely. It's okay to be tired. Like
it's okay to do things. Yeah, it's okay to do those things, and I like that too, because it's such a hard thing to try to get across to people. I'll go to a coffee spot, and I'll go alone, and people are like, "You go alone?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And that doesn't make me like I'm better than them, but I'm comforted with my. I'm so cool. I'm so comfortable with silence, and I'm comfortable with my thoughts, and comfortable with like I go on hikes and I go alone. And yes, I know I could go with people, but I really do enjoy the experience of going alone. And I'm starting to like it a bit, which I still will go with people, but my thing is like, I enjoy that. And to hear you say like the scrolling thing, it's like, I'm not alone. Look, I can hear something, and you have that stimulation. If you can, I imagine you should want to unpack that. I stopped scrolling on my phone because I realized how much time I was wasting. And to me, wasting time is more irritating to me than anything else. That doesn't mean that I have to be doing something. It means that this I know it's not paying me back.
Yeah.
For some people, this is everything, just sitting there looking, wow, that's funny, or that's this. You are getting hits of dopamine each time, or likes. I remember when I used to get really upset, like maybe even, and I guess embarrassingly so, I'd post a picture and it'd be like, oh, I got 200 likes on that. And then you post a picture like, I got 36, and you're like, oh. And that's why people might do things that are morally not in that wheelhouse, because they're after that hits of dopamine.
Yeah.
And we see that with a lot of men and women now, especially in our industry too. It's like, it's obviously a highly sexualized industry, and they do that, and you're just like, oh, okay, here we go. It's like, that makes sense. But it's like, I like people that are sticking to that authenticity, and even behind the scenes, not on social media, are killing it.
Right.
Like I met this guy, and I was just like, man, I don't really see you on the social like a lot. And he's like, I don't have like time. I'm like working with clients, and I'm doing, this. And then he pulled up in a really nice baller car. And I'm like, oh man, he's busy in real life, not just social media life with like likes and stuff. And I was like, that's, kind of made me think, and it's like, what am I doing? But the podcast was a way for it to communicate in a long form where I can learn something, or you can learn something, or we can learn something. And So it worked out really nice. Sorry, we went off on a tangent.
It's okay, it always happens.
Yeah, it always happens. So the last myth that I need to know, you need to tell me, Tori. You need to tell me.
Okay.
Are carbs bad?
No.
Are carbs bad for you?
Yeah.
I freaking love carbs.
So it's kind of crazy. Like the guidelines that as like us dietitians are supposed to go by and promote is that like 50 to 65% of our diets can come from carbohydrates. Of course, it's like anything else. It's just choosing the right kind. And all of our macronutrients, whether carbs, proteins, and fats, there's going to be choices we need to be having more often every single day. And there's going to be choices where there's a time and a place, you know, more sparingly. So added sugar is so bad for us. It's literally in everything. So there's an interesting statistic about like 75% of products in grocery stores contain added sugar. That is bad for us. That's something we need to work on reducing in our diet, not eliminating, because we don't want to create, I'm never going to have added sugar again, and then you're just going to binge on it at some point in your life. So with added sugar, I always teach clients, like, you have an allowance and it's where you want to spend it. So I like sweets. I don't want to have added sugar in my cereal. I don't want to have it in my, milk, salad dressing, I don't know, bread, things like that. I want to have it in the form of a cookie and a candy, like ice cream. That's where I want to consume added sugar.
You're making me so hungry right now. like as soon as you said ice cream, I'm like, ice cream. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so cool outside.
Yeah, I love ice cream so much.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's so good.
Yeah.
So you're saying so added sugar throughout the grocery store, like you're saying, makes things more calorically dense as well. Like calorie dense, maybe not nutrient dense, but calorie dense. So then it's like you just drank like 60% of what your carbs were for the day because it was added sugar. There's 40 grams of sugar in there that they added to this drink, or whatever. So it's like,
and we just burn through it so quickly. So with sugar, like simple sugars, we can metabolize that within 20 minutes to an hour. So like even if someone's having, I feel like Special K is a placebo, like healthy cereal. It's high in sugar. Yeah. So you can be having your Special K cereal that has 10, sorry if you like, I mean, I like it too. It's tasty,
I don't, I had to stop with cereal because that was a bad.
Yes. I always tell people cereal's like a good, like, dessert.
I love cereal.
Like a nice, like, nighttime.
Cinnamon Toast Crunch. How are you going to explain Cinnamon Toast Crunch to me?
I have a bad
I love cinnamon
memory of Cinnamon Toast Crunch when I was younger.
All right, what was the cereal then that was like the one for you?
Oh, I was a big Sugar Snaps.
Sugar, okay, those are good too. But that's like sugar is in the title, dude.
Yeah, well, I was young. I was like first grade. I didn't know even what I was going to be when I grew up.
Yeah, those are so good. Those are so good too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like, so like added sugar stuff. It's usually because, like you're saying, it's most of your carbohydrates. Or where do you want to spend your carbs?
Yeah, and some people might say like they love cereal. That's how that like makes them happy, or they want sugar in their coffee. That's what makes them so happy. We can make that work, but we're gonna make sure everything else you have that day has little to no added sugar.
Okay.
So in 2016, so cool, they changed a few things on our nutrition facts label. So you might have noticed over the past few years they have total sugars.
Yes.
And underneath is what is added. So natural sugar comes from anything from our fruits, vegetables, and cow's milk. We currently have no limitation on that unless we are pre-diabetic or diabetic. We just have to be more strategic with our natural sugars.
Of course, yeah.
So with that being said, the added sugar is really what we want to limit, because so many people come to me like, oh, I'm not eating a banana because it's so high in sugar. And it's like, well,
you can eat the banana.
Yeah, the banana's not making us gain weight. I promise you that is not the culprit. That's not the enemy. It's
a lot of calorically dense foods.
Yeah, and it's all like the added sugar. Like I said, it's in everything. So a lot of people come to me like, oh, I'm not having sweets. I'm not having sugary beverages. Like I don't have sugar in my diet. And I'm like, well, let's take a deeper look of like your barbecue sauce, your ketchup.
Yeah, condiments are huge too.
Yeah,
condiments are massive. And think about it, like with barbecue sauce. And this is just really quick with barbecue sauce. It's like, okay, this serving was 2 tablespoons. You put half of the bottle on your chicken, and then you just ran the chicken through it. Now you're talking, and like I said, love barbecue sauce, by the way. It's just like the portion size though was huge, and added sugars are massive in those things. Yeah. So you can, I have the sugar-free Primal Kitchen barbecue sauce, which is not as good as Stubbs, but it's still, like I said, it works for me and I like it because it's low calorie. So then I can focus on me personally eating a piece of cheesecake if I wanted it, or some Rich Farms ice cream, which is amazing, by the way. It's in Bristol. It's awesome. So carbs aren't bad. Carbs are not bad. You heard it here. Eat the carbs.
Eat the carbs.
Eat the
Love
carbs.
them.
So, Tori, seriously, it has been awesome. I mean, like a learning experience for me as far as with, like I said, the thing you said about that emotions, thinking about emotions at the end of the day, that was massive. And I think that's going to be the highlight of this podcast. And seriously, thank you for coming here and just doing this with me. I know it's weird when just somebody's like, yo, come out, do a podcast with me, please. But I had to, and, shout out to our clients, like I said, for, we have mutual people who follow us, and it's awesome because they were right. And it's been a great experience. So where can people find you, your websites, those types of things? Where can they find you?
Yeah, so the best place to find me is on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Sweet Tea, so SWEET, another TS, so like Sweet Teas, because my name's Tori, Wellness, WELL, oh my God, NESS. And then from there, you can find my website in my bio, or you can message me on Instagram.
Yeah, I highly recommend that. It's super awesome, and I really appreciate you coming through here. This is going to be awesome, and I can't wait for this to come out.
Yeah, me too.
So awesome. Like I said, go follow her. Super awesome. Tori, thank you just for coming here. It's awesome.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was so fun.
See? Have fun. And Cinnamon Toast Crunch is amazing. Sorry to say. All right, we're out of here. Bye.
Bye.
You're like, what happened with Cinnamon Toast Crunch?
I didn't know if I should say it, but I threw up Cinnamon Toast Crunch in second grade.
I'm keeping this in.
Test.
I'm keeping this in. You're still recorded. The mic is still hot.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, I was like traumatizing second grade. My teacher's like, do you feel okay? Like during a spelling test. I was like, yeah, I feel fine.
And you threw up everywhere.
And I know it's like on picture day. So, like, it took me so long to be able to eat that cereal again.
I still love it, though, despite what you just said. Like, I still would be I still super like it.